Hey guys, this is Jake from BurntTuner.com. If you've been following our Instagram, then you know that we're working on an all-wheel drive swap for my Spyder. Now today, we're removing the carrier bearing hangers. Now the carrier bearing hangers sit right inside the drive shaft well, right where your exhaust sits on your front-wheel drive car. Now, or your front-wheel drive Spyder rather. This is one of the things that makes the Spyder swappable for all-wheel drive, that makes a lot of cars that are front-wheel drive not able to be converted, is that this car actually has the same tunnel in it that the all-wheel drive one does. It's just been repurposed for the exhaust on the front-wheel drive. So you do have to buy a new exhaust, but you are able to swap it. Now, what I ended up trying to do here was drill out the spot welds that hold these hangers on here, and I spent about an hour, and in the end I had to mangle it up, going at it with a pry bar, you know, just peeling it back. And I had tried to do 4 or 5 other spots and didn't even manage to penetrate through. And I was becoming increasingly worried that in order to get it deep enough to break through the entire spot welds, I was having to drill into the floorboard, which isn't a big deal on my donor car because it's going to be junked. But the same hangers are exhaust hangers on the front wheel drive car. They just don't have the mount bolts for the carrier bearings. So I need to know how to get them off without damaging my car on the next set. And it turns out there's a tool specifically for this that makes pretty quick work of it. And you can see the results of that right here. You see these clean cuts around where the old drill just kind of dully went into the floorboard until it, until it widened out enough. This actually just goes completely around the spot weld and just cuts it out. And then the piece just drops back and peels right off, and then you don't do any damage. You don't really stretch it out like this did. This I'm gonna have to hammer flat again, and then spot weld around where it was. This is pretty clean. It does remove a lot of material, but that's okay. We're basically just gonna put a little tack weld back on the new one and hold it on. So I'm gonna show you the tool now, and it's actually aptly named a spot weld cutter. A spot weld cutter, just a drill bit. It's a drill bit with a center punch in the middle here that's spring loaded. So there's a set screw on the back. According to the package, the more tension on the punch here, the better. They call this the pilot pin. And this cutter pin here flips around, so you get basically 2 bits worth. Hopefully that's going to be enough. If it's not, we'll order another one because it's well worth the cost. They're not overly expensive. I think I paid, I can't remember if I paid $10 or $20 for this, but honestly, for the time it saved, fantastic buy. Now, to use one of these, you're supposed to use a center punch. So back here, I had already kind of started drilling, and I'll show you what happens if you don't use your center punch. I had already drilled these, so they basically already had a pilot in them, or a spot minute in them to hold the that pilot bit in. So they didn't move around too much. They cut right through. This one, where I hadn't drilled as deeply, because it wasn't really a set groove, it just kept moving on me. And so the end result here is I get a lot of movement here. And when you're cutting this, it knocks a lot of shrapnel loose. So because this was moving around more, there's a lot more shrapnel. I got hit in the face a couple good times. Definitely wear eye protection when you do this. Each of these cuts, it's cutting through pretty fast. And so it's just sending chunks of hot metal at you. So you definitely want to wear eye protection. You really want to wear gloves. I'm not. I really should. It's kind of stinging my hand a little bit. That's all right. So this one might be punched down enough. This one really wasn't. And so it slid around. And so what you really want to do is use a center punch. You put the punch in and then you hammer it in. So I went and got my hammer, got my center punch. We're going to do that going forward. But if you're going to do the swap, definitely get the tool. Saves you hours and doesn't really cost that much. All right, good luck, guys.